All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er update. A lot going on in Niner land. Of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week. Go say hi to Damon and Mary, get some brisket. Tell them that Krug sent you. And this video is brought to you by Better, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Use Better to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money. That's right. All you got to do is click the link below and download the app below. Make sure you use the promo code Niners, N-I-N-E-R-S, to get the first deposit matched up to $250. We thank Better for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Well, update in Ninerland, the latest on Brandon Aiyuk. There's always something, and it's always something, and yet we never get to the finish line. Have you noticed that? We never, ever get to the finish line. There's always more. But wait, there's more. And the fans are saying, is it done? Tell me when it's done. But wait, there's more. The latest, Jordan Schultz is tweeting out that the Niners and Brandon Aiyuk have had a meeting, and they're working towards the parameters of a long-term extension. It's taking an eternity and then some. But they supposedly are working out the final details. And, it needs 49ers ownership approval. And there's a couple last stipulations. And here we go. To me, the bigger than this was when Debo said a couple days ago, he's going to be here. Because I just don't, I don't think Debo would have said that. Debo knows the business. I don't think he would have said that if Aiyuk was moving on. But it is good to see from Jordan Schultz, who's a pretty good reporter in his own right, that they're working towards a deal. Is it done? No, it's not done. Is it ever going to be done? No, it will eventually get done. But Jordan Schultz saying developing story and things are moving along. So kind of flies in the face of Filippone's report out of Pittsburgh that he's going to be dealt to the Steelers for a second and a third. So they both can't be right. So we're at an impasse. Now it's a Jordan Schultz, Filippone impasse. I think I'm going to have to side with Schultz on this one. Sorry, Filippone. And Adam Schefter weighed in he went on Pat McAfee, and let's hear from Schefter. Schefter's been interesting in this. He usually leads the charge. He hasn't necessarily led the charge here. At times he's held back, and it makes you wonder why sometimes. Here's Schefter on McAfee, and we'll share some thoughts in a second.
Schefter, obviously, it seems like every time you're on, obviously, we're talking about Brandon Aiyuk out in San Francisco. You may be fielding some texts about Aiyuk right now. What's the latest developments with him, and where do you see this thing ending up?
Well, they were off yesterday, so there was no practice in the building. No players were not there. Today they go back, and we are now under 3 weeks away from the regular season opener to where the 49ers are hosting the New York Jets. Now, the 49ers know that they need Brandon Aiyuk out there. He's made a lot of plays for them over time. He has had a great run, and they want to get the deal done. They've made him multiple offers to try to keep him. But for whatever reason, that deal hasn't gotten done, and that has allowed other teams to enter the fray with trade conversations. And so I think we're at the point now where we're going to start to get a push here to see how this winds up, how it's resolved. And I think the 49ers would like to keep him, want to keep him. I still think that's the more likely scenario, but to think that there's any likely scenario in this particular situation would be a mistake, because there was a time when I thought, okay, it sounds like he's going to be traded to Cleveland. And then there was a time where I thought, well, it sounds like he's going to be traded to New England. And then there was a time I thought, okay, he's going to be traded to Pittsburgh. And then I thought there was a time he's re-signing with San Francisco. And here we are on, 20th. Tuesday, August 20th, and nothing is still done. Nothing. And I just think that everybody is at the point where they know they need to get resolution, whatever that is.
All right, there's Adam Schefter. And it's interesting that he points out that, it's like At one point, he thought he was going to New England. At one point, he thought he was going to Cleveland. He's sure that he was going to Pittsburgh. And now he thinks that it's likely that he's going to stay with the Niners. So if you're a 49er fan, that's good news. Why? Because the latest reports out of Pittsburgh is that any Steeler offer is not going to include any players. So if it doesn't include players, unless it's some awesome bevy of picks and it's not, there's no way that you're getting fair value, especially at this time of the year when you're inside your Super Bowl window. So it makes sense that makes the most sense that the 49ers would re-sign their superstar wide receiver inside their Super Bowl window and bring him back and push it to next year. They can always trade him if they wanted to down the road. So my guess is Aiyuk's a 49er. I do believe it gets done. As far as what's the dollar figure, I think all the talk's been inflated. It sounds like, Steelers are under 28. Probably the Niners are probably close to 26. That would be my guess. Who knows? I don't really know, but that's my feeling on it. A couple other Niner notes. Talanoa Hufanga isn't practicing this week, and so he's not working towards playing in this game. I don't know if week one's out yet, but he's still coming back from that knee injury. And what does that mean? Well, it could mean that Malik Mustafa is in the week one starting lineup. Not for sure, but that's what it could mean. Or it could mean George Odom is the starting free safety. We'll see how that goes. But I think Mustafa is kind of more of a natural fit when you look at what Odom means to the Niners special teams unit. That's one to watch. Ricky Pearsall, we were told today by Kyle Shanahan, is not going to return to practice this week. He's got a shoulder injury. You got to wonder about the durability of Pearsall. He's worn the blue jersey all summer. Here's what's concerning me. It would be like if you had a car that was having all kinds of problems and you were just kind of driving it around town a little bit and you're planning on taking that car across country. And it's like, well, wait a second. You can't drive to the market and back 5 times without that thing's breaking down, but you're telling me you're taking this car and it's going to get you across country? And you're sitting there going, yeah, probably not, huh? It's probably not going to work out. That's kind of how I'm starting to feel about Ricky Pearsall. I mean, the physical, what he's had to go through physically thus far is nothing compared to what's coming. And he hasn't been able to stay healthy. I mean, he has not been on the practice field hardly at all, and he's worn the blue jersey almost all summer. He operates in the middle of the field where the big boys play for keeps, and the hits come flying. And this guy hasn't taken any of them yet, and he's really can't get on the field. So I'm very concerned. To be honest, I'm not going to pretend that I'm not. Other people are like, it doesn't mean anything, precautionary. I don't feel that way. I feel like Ricky Pearsall's main question is durability, and can he take the physical hits that you're going to have to take in the middle of the field in the NFL? And I think that question, here we are, is still in mid-August, still very much unanswered. So he most likely is not going to play against the Raiders, and who knows? It sounds like Pearsall might not be ready for the Jets. Now, the good news is the Niners are fortified here. What it probably means is Chris Conley makes the roster and Trent Taylor makes the roster. And maybe Ronnie Bell. We'll see. We'll see who gets Pearsall's spot if he can't go at the beginning of the year and for whatever reason is going to have to be shelved. That's one to watch. As far as practice today, a shorter practice, not a lot going on today at practice. It wasn't a ton of big plays. This is Isaac Gendo week for the Niners. He was on the sidelines about 10 feet away from me talking to Bobby T. Bobby T's trying to get this kid ready. We got to see what he is. He got hurt so early that I don't think, and Shanahan said this, the frustration of this. He got hurt on day one with a hamstring pull. So he's an enormous talent. He's 225 pounds. He runs in the 4.3s. He could be a huge impact guy for the Niners in a lot of different ways. They want him badly on this roster, I'm sure. They're not going to subject him to waivers. So he's either going to make this team or he's going to be put on IR and they're going to shelve him for the year and redshirt him. I don't think they want to redshirt him. I think he's too big of a talent. I think they need him too much. And they feel like he can contribute. So Gendo is the guy to watch this week. If you watch Niners Raiders in Vegas, we'll talk more about it as the game gets closer. But Isaac Gendo, I think this is going to be the Isaac Gendo show, and it could be anything. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun watch. This guy's big and fast. This is a huge spot for him, and he's on one of the league's fastest carpets there in Vegas. I think that Gendo could be the most dynamic player in that game. I'm looking for him to have a huge game against the Raiders. On a negative note, John Feliciano had surgery on his knee and is going to start the year on the IR. He's probably going to miss half the year. I'm okay with that. They're really deep here. I mean, I like Feliciano. He's a good player, and he's going to help them, and they're going to need him. But you know what? You need him come playoff time when stuff's real. He's a really good football player. He can play center. He can play left guard. He can play right guard. I think this just puts more impetus on Dominic Pooney to, run with that starting job, and also may open a spot on the roster for some of these young guys like Nugent and Kingston, who both look outstanding, by the way, to make the roster. So, one guy's negative is another guy's positive. Feliciano's going to play half the year. It looks like it's going to be the second half of the year. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN is reporting that Demo Lenore is a player the 49ers are trying to extend contractually. That would be really smart. We talked to him the other day. If there's one guy that I'm pretty convinced is taking off to the next level and going to be a Pro Bowler, it's that guy. Lenore is absolutely dominated all summer. He's incredibly confident. Every day he gets bigger, stronger, faster. He's incredible. He's one of the best players on the team for sure. The Niners, the story in Santa Clara this summer is the secondary. They have a ton of young talent at both safety and corner, and Lenore might be the best of all of them. I mean, he is just absolutely an amazing player, and he's dominating out here all summer. So Fowler says that, in addition to Aiyuk, in addition to Trent Williams, and there's no progress right now on any Trent Williams thing, though Kyle feels good about it, and they are communicating with Trent's agent. In addition to those two guys, they may also do an extension for Demo Lenore, something to watch for. At practice, what stands out is that Drake Nugent and Dominic Pooney and Jarrett Kingston are all really coming on as young offensive line prospects, and Chris Forster is coaching them up. Kingston can play guard or tackle. Pooney can play all 5 spots, but is settling in at right guard and is coming off a tremendous performance against the Saints. I mean, where Pooney really played like a veteran. And Nugent, if you look at the Pro Football Focus numbers, is grading out incredibly highly. Now, to me, of all those guys, the guy to watch here is Nugent. Why? Because I think the 49ers would like to keep Nick Sakel. Nick Sakel, they invested a draft pick in him. He's 6'6", 315. He's really smart, really tough, really strong. He's Brock Purdy's good buddy. I think they'd like to have Sakel. They have Sakel right now slated in front of Nugent, but Nugent may force his way onto this roster. By the way, he plays in the rest of this preseason. So far, Nugent has played like 66 snaps and given up like 1 pressure. And he's graded out really, really highly. Now, you'd be like, he's still a kind of a short arm, smallish center. But this guy was really good, 3-time captain at Stanford, goes to Michigan, wins the national championship, is the anchor point for the best offensive line in college football. They had a dominant run game. He's a terrific football player. He's just a little bit short. At center, you can be a little short and still be dominant. So I think that's a guy to watch. Nugent versus Sakel, and they also have Ben Barch, and of course, obviously, Jake Brendel. That's a position to watch because, man, you don't want to lose Nugent, but, man, you don't want to lose Sakel, and yet Brendel's your starter. You're hugged up against the cap. Brendel's making some money. I don't know what the solution is here, but That's something to watch. I'll just say there's a lot of good players at center in this camp and not enough jobs. We talked after practice to Curtis Robinson, one of my favorites, man. I love this guy going back to Stanford. This guy should be the most improved player in the entire camp. And he's like a mini Fred Warner. They trust him. Sorensen loves him. He's wearing the green dot. He just was great in the preseason game. But Curtis is so smart, and I asked him today. I said, well, what about these other guys? I'm like, how about Tatum Bethune? How about Jalen Graham? And basically, he said that Tatum Bethune, he's super impressed by how Bethune has picked up this defense so incredibly fast. Tatum Bethune leads the 49ers in tackles 2 games in. He had 8 in the first game. He had 10 in this game. 18 tackles in 2 games for Bethune. He's everywhere. And he's playing way faster than he actually is. So it's an incredible thing to watch because it's a very instinctive position. And you can get by with, just okay. Emmitt Smith was not the fastest running back of all time, but he's one of the best of all time. Mike Singletary is not the fastest inside linebacker of all time, but he's one of the best of all time. These guys are in the Hall of Fame. In the running back and inside backer, to some degree, you can get away with not being a big time speed guy if you're really, really good. And I'm not saying Bethune's a Hall of Famer, but he, so far he has stepped into this defense. And I don't know, I know he runs the 4.8 or whatever, or 4.7. I know it was way too slow for the NFL, but you don't see it on film. He shows up at the ball carrier. And on practice, same thing. He shows up at the ball carrier. Now, in the regular season, other teams know that he runs in the 4.7s. They'll probably get him isolated on a fast player in space and pass coverage and try to make a big play, force him off the field. So there probably are limitations there that we just haven't seen yet. But so far, Tatum Bethune, wow. And Curtis Robinson mentioned it today. He also singled out Jalen Graham. Jalen Graham, oh my God. Jalen Graham, number 50, is just having a tremendous camp. And Dean Winters as well. So you got 3 young linebackers there, and then Robinson coming of age. Greenlaw is an incredible player, but they're kind of positioned here to be able to withstand the loss of Greenlaw for a few months until Dre can get right. And it's a great thing. Dre's better than all these guys, of course. And it will reclaim his starting job when he's healthy. But it's good to see that you got Curtis Robinson, Winters, Bethune, Graham. You got options if you're the 49ers to play if Campbell isn't quite up to snuff opposite Fred Warner in that 5-2 front. Kyle also told us that the starters will start against the Raiders in Las Vegas in preseason game number 3. My guess is that they're going to play a series at most for the premier guys, and then they're coming out. I'd even be surprised. Last couple of years we've gotten into this game, and Kyle has said, "Hey, the starters are going to play in this 3rd and final game," and then literally right after the anthem, they'll come out. Those guys will all the starters will come out. They'll all warm up, right? And then 5 minutes before the anthem, they'll say, and the San Francisco 49ers have announced that the following players will not be playing tonight. And they'll name like 4 or 5 really key players that they'll just be like, they're not playing. That's what's going to happen in this game as well. Everybody's going to suit. He's going to say all week, hey, the starters are going to play. And most of the starters are going to play. Everybody's going to suit up. Everybody's going to warm up. And then right before warm-up, he's going to say, you. Like, there's going to be a bunch of guys who get the nod, hey, you're not playing. And then those guys are going to change into sweats, and they're going to play the rest of the football game without those guys. Or play the entire football game, really, without those guys. That's my guess. That's the way this thing usually shakes out. There you go. There's the update. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krug Show. And, of course, This video sponsored by Better, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Use Better to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money. Click the link below, download the app below, and make sure you use the promo code Niners to get the first deposit matched up to $250. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.